What do we do? So we are Marco Alessandra from Happy Finish.
That's right.
We do Happy Finish works with a lot of stuff. We do image retouching, we do virtual reality, augmented reality, AI for the creative industry, a lot of things. We play every day with
Yes.
new technologies all the time.
Mostly
Yeah.
interactive as well. We do a lot of interactive works. Most of the briefs that we get have to do with other people and how we can encompass an audience through new technologies.
You need to stop me, when I start talking. Okay, so for example, today we order a pair of gloves for virtual reality.
Yes.
Immediately I said, guys, it can't work because people sweat. No one wants to use that.
So
but we figure out.
Yeah, a lot of experimentation, a lot of stuff. That's great. And we forgot to introduce
What do you want to
Our-
know?
our
About
title.
what we are going to talk about.
yes, of course.
Of
So
course.
we're going to start with a quote because we have quite a few quotes coming up. So we're always looking to challenge art and techniques. Reproduction is something that we've always been doing. We're going to talk about that later. And it's always been a part of us. With the introduction of AI, things are going to change a little bit. We're still going to be reproducing, but we're going to be perceiving creativity and art in somewhat of a different way.
And for example, Turing test. There are a lot of expectations about AI in the last decades. So it starts really easily. Can machine pass everyone in conversation? Yes, no, we don't know. Then they said, can machine find interest in major sports event? They said, kick the flipping ball, lads. And then other expectation, can machine discuss politics with a reactionary handphone? That seems like a rather logical position, Brian. And other expectation, can machine host a dinner party mixing friends and colleagues? So if I introduce you to Clive. Yeah. So there are two big trends, we talked previously. There is narrow AI and there is a general AI that is more challenging. There are a few companies that are more focused on that. We, as a company in general and creativity, we are more interested in the narrow. But let's say kind of in the middle between narrow and general because we are interested in understand creativity in its own meaning.
Kind of depends on the brief as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and here's where we get technical. Professor...
Not too much.
Not too much, no. But I've been trying to memorize this definition, which is by Max Tegmark, who I'm going to be quoting quite a lot. He's a professor at MIT. And he has a very simple definition of life, which is a process that can retain its complexity and replicate. So if we think about life being those two things, we can see it as a self-replicating information processing system. And like every system, it has a software and it has a hardware. So Tegmark kind of narrows this software and hardware in life a bit more with three different stages of sophisticated life. The first one is very simple, it's bacteria. Bacteria is born with the same software and the same hardware. All of the information that it knows through DNA, for evolution of millennia, and it can only evolve after a long period of time.
Have you ever played the game of life?
Oh yeah, this is also very interesting. I don't know if you guys know about Game of Life.
Was
Anyone?
made by
Anyone?
John Conway in the 70s. It was a competition. They created this game of life. It's basically there are just 3 rules, and all cells they replicate themselves automatically based on these 3 rules. They made everything on paper, so without any computer. And you can play if you check a Game of Life, Conway's Game of Life. There are generators everywhere on the internet.
Yes.
It's pretty funny to play.
It's
on
interesting.
that. It's really interesting. So if you want bacteria at home,
Whatever.
you can play with it.
Yeah.
Your game.
The leveling up of bacteria is 2.0, which is Homo sapiens, which is kind of you and me, which can learn, but can learn limitedly. So the hardware has evolved, but the software is largely designed. So what does this mean? It means that when we're born, we have software that starts off very small, but then with things like recognizing your family and friends, learning how to tell a joke, learning how to be sarcastic, learning a new language, we update the software. And we do this by a process called learning. And this is sort of what differentiates us from the 1.0 life. Fun fact, when you reach middle age, the synapses, which is what stores all your knowledge, is roughly around 100 terabytes, whereas your DNA is only roughly 1 gigabyte of information. So that sort of gives you a bit of an example. And then the third, which is the exciting one, which is kind of why we're here for, is the 3.0, which is a software and a hardware that can update itself infinitely.
I need to talk about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was instead. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. Yeah, okay. Let me check. Okay, can design his own software, but also its software. It's the
Yes.
master of its own destiny. It's free for all evolutionary shapers. And then there is a list of things. The first one is big cluster of CPU, GPU. I don't know what is it. Why we put? And we put some notes. Okay.
Like we said, conversational.
Okay. So it can upgrade itself and learn exponentially fast.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Why not? And it's becoming the greatest tool yet. And tool is a very important word because. Did you change the color of the font here? Because I heard it.
Very conversational.
I don't know about yours, but this is how we chat all the time.
Okay, so, but yeah, let's talk about this example. So,
Yeah.
Project Debater was introduced by IBM a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's basically, this project, this system learn how to debate the humans because it collect a lot of data, of course, how to make this kind of conversation. So it's kind of the consequence of what IBM started working from Jeopardy, if you ever seen that, when there was the show in the, it was 2011, and from there they progressed to make more and more intelligent in conversation.
Yes, it's really fantastic. In the example, there's a video that IBM released that, spoilers, projected database won. So he can debate quite well, quickly than we can. And it's actually, he's actually kind of, or she is actually kind of funny. It has sarcasm in it. So yeah. but yeah. So I think a common thing that we've sort of been talking about with the previous speakers is the fact that humans have always used tools. So one example that I kind of like to go to is the invention of the tube paint. So before we had tubes of paint, artists were restricted to their studios, and they had their pigments and their oils, and they would mix their paints. With the tube of paint, you disallowed a constraint. So now artists could leave their studios and start painting in different places. So the artwork that they created started to be different through this technology. And eventually, you had the start of Impressionism. Because the subject matters were different, you had people going to paint outside, and it was quicker as well, you produced more. And what we have now is the same thing, which is information, code that humans can use in order to help update and help them create new things. This is a great example, which is the Mandelbrot system, as I'm sure Marco can tell you more about, which kind of does that. It can visualize mathematical forms that us as humans couldn't even begin to calculate. Or I guess we could, but it would take us so long, and something that would take minutes or maybe hours.
It's infinite.
It's, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so there's also different types of tools that we've been using in terms of tech. The first one is when machine mimics analog tools using digital means. So we think about editing, for example. When we had film, we could literally cut the film. We had to paste it again, we had to put it in the rollers, and we had to shoot it. Now, with things like Premiere, you're still doing essentially the same thing, but it's quicker, it's savvier, and it allows us to visualize the information in a different way. The second generation systems is where machines start to have a say in what we do. So things like autocorrect, for example, where you write a word and then it corrects it, and you're like, oh, maybe I did mean ducking. It's like, did you though? Or things like autotune, for example, or I think they're all or autofocus. Here in the technical notes, we have technology that suggests the best option, and then the human chooses whether to be aided by it or not. And if you think about it, most gadgets that we use nowadays have second-gen systems. And then, again, number 3, because 3 is always the most exciting one, is where humans and machines negotiate the creative process. What does this mean? It means that now there's new ways of assisting with things like machine learning and human-computer interaction. We can give the machine more power for it to kind of like learn to walk on its own. And this means that now we have to give the computer primal control over the outcome of the piece that we're doing. And if you want to talk about this example.
Yeah, this one is it's a PIX-to-PIX implementation. So basically the system learns from 2 different data sets, sketch and colored drawing. It learns kind of trying find a pattern between when you sketch, it tries to autocomplete automatically. So basically, it finds a pattern between this black and white sketch and the color version of the data set. And then every time you start sketching, you get colored, autocomplete colored version of that.
That's right. So this leads us to...
we took, I think half of my time was spent to find a good figure illustration for this slide.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we figure out actually we should have like an AI they create comics or something like that.
So,
because I was thinking I need something like that. It's the same example we need when we want something. Okay, I want this. Give me. It's not possible yet. So yeah. Just because it's not completely what I want, but it's fine.
But yeah, I guess it sort of illustrates what we want to say about the more that we've been using technology, the smaller the gap between a novice and a pro becomes. Because, when, let's say, before the invention of the computer, before the invention of writing, we had language. And then from language we went to writing, from writing we went to drawing, to digital, and now to AI. So with this technology, we have the chance to be more creative more of the time, but it's also easier for us to be creative. So this leads us to a new way of thinking and interpreting creativity.
This one is a texture synthesis made by Shenzhen University, like 3 weeks ago. Basically, just one piece is made by is the original texture, and then the AI system autocomplete and create a new. They continue to create the text.
And it's
understand.
Yeah, it's also a great example of how the machine now has more power of decision to achieve a creative goal. It's also creating a new branch called generative design, which lowers the time of intention and execution. You have things like data play, you have things like different type of data visualization, different capabilities of creating infinite variations. The word infinite is something that we're not really used to understanding in the first place. So now to be able to create infinite, not only numbers, but shapes and creativities kind of mind-boggling, I think. I was like, oh my god. And to be honest, like, believe it or not, the creative industry is already using so much of this that we've seen in the previous examples. And it's just a newfound medium.
And yeah, there are a lot of examples on creativity and AI together. For example, the work of Quasimodo, if you find on Twitter, Mario Kart, Kajman, I don't know, it's so difficult, isn't it? And also Pix2Pix, as I said, you can from sketch, you create cats. Also, you can change a season, your picture, so you have a spring picture and you want to turn to winter. Or you can create really cutting edge collage like that, composition like that. So it's this one. Or you have more technical task like this one, image complexion. So this one is the original one, and the AI infer to generate the face without knowing anything about the face that was before. And this one as well. These one are made by completely generated pixel by pixel by an AI, is a generative adversarial networks. They beat me because they had more power. So they cite my work and they said, look, this is the previous result. Of course, they are NVIDIA, so they hold their GPU in the world. And deep fakes, they was used many times for other reasons than creativity. And yeah, exactly. Two use cases, really quickly. Generating faces we made last year. So we collected a kind of 2,000 images for image of moms in UK. And for the reason to create an image of the perfect mom in UK. So of course it was a campaign for advertising campaign for Unilever for that. And in that case, we put a billboard in Waterloo Station, and mom were so pissed off because no one told about the process. And they said that the result was completely biased. And it was true because the data set was completely biased by the fact that it was just celebrities. So she looked beautiful, blonde, with makeup. And the other one, it's interesting, they just won the Grand Prix at Cannes for this. It's an amazing job by Rochka Agency. They collected more than 800 speech from President Kennedy, JFK, and to recreate the speech they never pronounced in Dallas when he was murdered. And I think we have the next one, we have that.
In a world of conflict and mutual problems, in a world full of frustrations and irritations, America's leadership must be guided by life learning and reason, or else those who confuse rhetoric with reality, and for as little as possible, will gain popular attendance with their seemingly swift and simple solutions to every world problem.
So he never pronounced that.
That's not real.
Is his voice.
Yeah, it's a bit of a real one. So, as we've seen previously, you know,
Summarize.
yeah, so this is our summarization.
we like to think big.
Because yeah, like if, you know, we saw both of the previous examples take an initial idea, teach the machine, and then sort of let the machine interpret the idea so that it can create and generate new content. AI has therefore achieved something that so far no medium has achieved before. And that is to remove the human from the center of creation. So far, if you think about creating art, the human has always been the one that has the final say when it comes to poetry, music, architecture. It kind of revolves around us. With AI, we find a new machine that is not really a competition, but it can be used alongside us for the bigger goal of creativity. So we have been in the Ptolemaic world so far, considering humans as a center. Now using machine learning and machine-human interaction, we can expand our thoughts on creativity and see past us and see AI as a force that is revolving around creativity and not competing with it.
We see more like human and machines maybe at some point to work together, but be around that creativity. It has to be the core of what we do. Fun fact, Alessandra put my face on the first version. And when there is the computer, I don't know why.
Because he is secretly like a machine. It's crazy. Exactly.
I never sleep.
and even though it sounds kind of crazy, it's already happening now. If you think like the creative industry is one of the first industries that's being influenced by AI, and we see it so much in tech, we see it in design, architecture, music, so much in music. And it's not necessarily something that we have to be afraid of. So we're going to end with another quote by Max Tegmark, who we quoted before. Because we really like him.
We're ambitious species, we should have higher than two. Build a machine that can just, why there is apparently someone. How can we use all this tech to empower us, not to overpower us?
Yes, so I think this is like the key differentiation as to why people are scared of AI. But I think it's actually really cool because now we're able to, mix elements from a machine perspective, a human perspective, and an individual perspective to create amazing art.
That's very good.